What's up, everybody out there in podcast land? Thank you guys so much again for tuning in to Play the Game podcast. We are so incredibly thankful for all of you guys. This episode, we got to sit down with Brandon Short, formerly of San Diego Dynasty, and got to pick his brain about what's going on. He's got a lot going on right now. He has retired from playing the game of paintball, but is still very much so involved. Works at HKARMY, is the founder of Pro Tour, who just debuted their second episode, which was Ronnie Dizon versus Ryan Greenspan. It was absolutely insane, and the winner has to move on to play our very own Tyler Harmon. So I know I can't wait to watch that. But we just caught up with him to discuss his entire career, which was a very decorated one. And we got to talk about his goals and visions for Pro Tour, what he plans to do moving forward. Now that he's no longer behind the gun, we wanted to see what his thoughts are on the sport and how he wants to progress and his visions for the league that he has started and created. And we couldn't be more excited for you guys to hang out with us in this episode. We had a lot of fun. It was really a great time to just catch up and have a good time with Brandon Short, one of the game's absolute legends. So hope you guys enjoy. And without further ado, here we go.
That was an insane inside move by Marcelo Margot. Great communication. And the crowd starts chanting Harmon. Great shot by all the guys. So Tyler Harmon saved that game. He came out with 2 wins. Marcelo Margot was on fire.
Shorty!
Harmon,
dude.
Harmon. I love that intro. That gets me hyped up.
Let's go.
Hell yeah, we love it too. Yeah, Mark said the same thing. Every time we hear it too, I'm like, man, that's pretty cool. I dig it.
Dude, gets me hyped.
Put together. Yeah, Harmon.
Definitely cool for you guys. I need a little hype myself. So
yeah, Shorty. Let's go,
Short,
baby.
You were at that event that they started chanting that. That's World Cup 2018. So maybe if you would just come out of retirement,
yeah,
you could have some of that going again. When are you coming out of retirement? Yeah. First and foremost, it's time.
I was thinking about doing it. I was actually going to go play last weekend, but there's like this little world pandemic going on. So, it just didn't happen. But we'll see. We'll see how the pandemic goes.
Yeah, hunker down for a little bit, and we'll bring you back out of the trenches, baby.
There you
go. Yeah, we miss you, dude. Damn,
so much. It's not the same without you, Shorty. I mean, just life in general, having Short around is always better.
100%. Tyler and I were talking about it when we were talking about getting you on here. First and foremost, we miss you as a teammate, dude, and as a friend out at practices, out at just the tournaments, your experience, everything. Like, look at you. For people that are just listening and not watching, Short has grown a full-on caveman beard. I think he's been locked up in the HK office, working his butt off, trying to get everything set for Pro Tour, making sure all the sales are going out over there. But
I quarantined my razor and threw my beard out. My wife hates it, but I'm happy. I like it.
Hey, that's all that matters, baby. That's all that matters.
Yep.
Dude, I love that. So yeah, talk to us about how's it been over there? I know you work at HKARMY, and you guys are still staying busy and getting all these orders out.
Well, as you know, it's just a unique time with COVID-19. Yeah. Things are just different all around. It's different here in the sense that we had to furlough a few of the warehouse guys. Mm-hmm. So not only am I doing sales, I'm doing warehouse duties, which include picking, shipping, helping out wherever. We just got a truck full of diggers, the new shoes, and there's like hundreds upon boxes. So you're moving these things, you're organizing them. It's hot, it's hard work. Yeah. I'm telling you, go to school, do something that doesn't involve picking heavy things up because my back is broken.
That's cool though that you're filling in. You guys are trying to do as much as you can to keep the company afloat right now. And there's again when Marky was on, he kind of touched this, and it's very true. People think that some of these paintball companies are billion-dollar companies, and that's not the case. It's a lot of it is grassroots, and the owners are very much connected to the ground floor. Totally. And you guys are in that to the fullest right now.
Yeah, it's cool. I mean, retiring from paintball, I thought I'd be losing that camaraderie of being on a paintball team.
Mm-hmm.
But coming into the workforce here, especially at HK, it's like joining a team.
Yeah, of course.
Nowhere near as organized as Dynasty, with a lot crazier people. But
The best.
It's a team. It's straight up a team. You know, like the positions include sales, warehouse, finance, design, instead of running to the snake, back guys, burrito players.
So what are you? Do you still play the snake for HK?
Pretty much. I'm definitely the best player here. So nothing's changed. So nothing's changed there.
I love that. Dude, snake off the break, baby. Run it.
But are you more of like a support player, let people know what's going on, or are you kind of being given orders, crawling down the snake, bunkering people? What's your role?
I'm still blowing my knees out, running to the 50, trying to get sales, talking to people all across the world.
Cool.
While the guys upstairs just sit in the back like Marcelo and just collect the G's. Literally collect the
G's. Hey, we got to make sure you guys are doing your job. You know, we got to oversee all you guys, make sure that you guys are making, doing what you're supposed to do out there. So I love it. That's so funny. I love that you segued into that, because I don't know if you've been listening to any of the other episodes, but Tyler and I are like, we constantly want to relate paintball back to real life because it's so relatable to everything you do, especially in business. You know, I've always said paintball is such a great sport for businesses to, take their team out and do, because it teaches you different team building things. Everyone does have a very important and specific role, and it takes all of them doing their job correctly to function properly together and, have a successful team or company, relationship, anything. So,
dude, 100%. Sports, especially paintball, because we know it, is such a good metaphor and example for business. It's crazy. And you hear these big businesses, these big industries, they bring in Bill Belichick's to come and talk and inspire and even pick his brain on how he operates. Because if you think about it, a football team, a basketball team, that's a business. Like that's straight up a business. And it's good. It's good. Like paintball is such a good education. It's taught us so much, but it's so relatable to the workforce.
Absolutely. Yeah. And Short, can we kind of dive in? I know just about everybody in the world knows about your paintball story. And, but for maybe those listeners who don't know your paintball story, why don't you give us a little bit of the backstory, how you got into paintball and, you became one of the greatest snake players to ever play in the history of the game. So why don't we just start from the beginning there?
Be short. Be short.
Be short. Let's go. That's a lot better. Okay. There we go. Let's see. So I'm 33.
Yeah.
And I started playing paintball.
Great number, dude. Great age.
It's a great number. Started playing paintball when I was 12.
Wow.
So the math on that is like 20 something years, whatever that is.
Yeah. Yeah.
So my story goes way back, which, I mean, your guys' story goes just as far back. And let's see, I went for a birthday just like everybody else.
Yeah.
And then out there at SC Village in California. And what's funny is I didn't even like paintball at first. I felt that it was fun, but we were playing in the woods. And I didn't see anybody. And I was like, okay, this is exciting. But I'm like, I want to shoot at people. I really want to like see them.
Yeah.
So the first 2 times we played in the woods. And then the third time, as you drive into SC Village, you see the hyperball fields. And I was always like, why are we never playing on those ones?
Yeah.
And my friend's like, oh, that's the tournament side. You actually have to go over there. It's completely different. I'm like, oh, let's go check that out. We jumped on some hyperball fields. And instantly, like that feeling everybody talks about where you fall in love, like boom, I was in love. I was like, oh my God, this is amazing.
Yeah.
I ran up to the wall on the, like, because SC Village has this wall field, these 2 big 50s. Oh, yeah. Super easy to run to. So I was like, okay, I'll just run up there. And all of a sudden, like, it was just the bunker's exploding. It's loud. I can't hear. It's scary. But at the same time, I was having so much fun.
Yeah.
And after that, it was literally just a avalanche of emotions and
real quick. Sorry, Short. Just to interject, that wall field you're talking about is like the first time I saw you play paintball. I think you were on
shit.
SoCal Kids, and it was a Best in the West tournament, or maybe a Pan Am. I think it was a Pan Am. So one of those local tournaments that they had at SE Village back in the day. And for those that don't know, Brandon Short was like one of the fastest paintball players ever when he was in his prime. You're a little slower nowadays. That's why you moved back. You play like the 2. You play more my role.
Sure.
Towards him. No, I'm just messing with
Get
you,
those
man.
G's, baby.
But those subs, those 50s, I remember like you were lightning getting to those things at like 14 years old. This is like kind of right before you got picked up for the Ironman. I feel like I could have my timeline off, so I'm sure you'll get into it. But I remember seeing you in those days, man, and you were someone that I looked up to as a young kid because I'm a few years younger than you. I'm 4 years younger than you, and even in like the divisional days, you being at our local field, you were the talk of the town. It's funny to hear you also say, when you played in the woods, you were kind of frustrated that you couldn't see people, because that really speaks to your style of play. You always were very aggressive, in your face. You're going to go down the field. You truly invented, in my opinion, no disrespect to like Angel Fergoza and players that were legendary in the snake, but the corner to corner run throughs on the snake side, I feel like was your signature thing. You would literally be in a snake corner or in the snake one, and all of a sudden you were behind the other team shooting everyone in the back. And that was like B Short's prime, and it was amazing. And I saw that all kind of evolve and transpire, and I'm sure we'll get into that. But, I just had to kind of interject because that field totally brings back memories, dude.
I got highlight reels in my head from Short running, just like you said, corner to corner, dude, just working people out. Some of the best moves I've ever seen in my life from Short.
And I think that all just stemmed from having fun. It wasn't fun to hang out in the back. It wasn't fun to be hiding in the bushes. It's fun to run up there.
Yeah.
I couldn't shoot anybody, so you had to go bunker them. I couldn't shoot them. I'm not accurate. So it was a matter of running, bunkering people to get them off the field. And then you learned how to do that. That's just like a skill.
And hyperball was such a thrill just the sound of the paint hitting the bunker, the splash, you like get all the spray through on your goggles and everything. And a lot of kids don't know about that style of paintball, but if there's a hyperball field around you and they have hyperball play, go out there and try some hyperball. It's really a fun style.
Absolutely. Hyperball's the business.
Yeah, it's great, man.
That's why it's making a comeback, dude. The 10-man thing, it's making a huge comeback because it is fun. That's how we all started paintball. That's what hooked us originally, with like that kind of stuff. So, yeah, man.
Yeah, we got to do more 10-man events, Shorty. We got to get out there, babe.
10-man.
We're gonna slowly pull Short back into the scene.
Yeah.
But sorry, dude, I did totally interrupt you. So you were at SC Village, sprinting to the 50-yard line.
And then what's cool about where we grew up at SC Village, there was already such a huge gathering of paintball players, from pros to rookies, that it was just a good environment to see what was possible. I think I heard Marky say the other day on the podcast, like he saw Rusty. Well, being at SC Village, you saw everybody. You saw Dynasty, you saw Avalanche, you saw Cap Factory, you saw the Hostel kids. So you just kind of saw what was possible versus maybe growing up in, let's just say, New Mexico, where the paintball scene isn't as big. You lacked that, but that was not the case at the time. Like SC Village was the mecca, and it was beneficial to all of us, especially probably me and Marcelo being from Southern California.
Absolutely. Yeah. What was explain the energy out there at that time growing up with all that going on? It was must have been profound.
Crazy. Every weekend you got to go and see all these different people who at the time, everybody seemed like a grown adult. So you just seemed like the little kid in the room with just
how funny is that?
Yeah. Wide eyes looking at all these grown men. And I mean, when you play now, you don't really realize it, but it's intense. And like we're screaming at each other. But when you're a little kid, like that's so intimidating and scary, but also exhilarating and fun. Like that's what made you fall in love with it. You're just enamored by your everything around you. And SC Village provided that and more.
Oh my God, it was crazy at that time. Like you said, you had every big pro team, the biggest pro teams in the world coming in there and duking it out every weekend.
Yeah, SC Village was nuts. I remember we played at a local field called Velocity Paintball Park growing up. It was about 40 minutes from my house. Obviously, you guys both know the field. We practiced there with Dynasty a few times. I know it's short, it's been around for a very long time. But when we wanted to really get the good grind, the good practice, you go up to SC Village, drive an hour and a half away, go up to SC Village. All of the pros were going to be there. Like you said, Dynasty, Avalanche, Ironmen were even out there. All the teams were always there. All the pro players there, and they were so accessible as well. That's where the formation of HKARMY really happened, was in that parking lot, and on those fields, which is so cool to understand. But yeah, it was, SC Village even became one of my home fields. Like when I first started playing with Aftermath, that was where we practiced every weekend, is SC Village, because it was the Mecca. It truly, truly, truly was. The Southern California was the Mecca for chasing a paintball dream, professional paintball. I mean, that was it, and to be honest, now it's kind of sad. It's not anymore, but we do still have pockets like that. Totally. I think Texas does a really good job, in Texas, with between Paintball Fit and, the X Factor Park, it kind of has that type of vibe. So it's cool to see that there's parts in the country where paintball is still like that for players, because I know for me, I don't know if I would have chased a pro paintball dream if I didn't have that around me. I'm sure you guys feel the same, because Tyler, same, like all three of us grew up around all of that. We grew up around professional players that were around us, that were inspiring, and it was like the Mecca, and it was the cool thing to do on the weekends,
Yeah, for sure.
Being able to watch a paintball movie, or at the time VHS, to see those guys, and then literally on the Saturday to go to the field and then see those guys, that was just such a connecting of the dots, and it was such a driving force. It's like, okay, if you really want to be good, it's possible, because hey, there they are. Like you watch it on the TV, you're like, oh, I love that. Saturday, you see those guys, you play against those guys if you're lucky, because usually they don't let rookies on the field at the time.
It's a special thing, man. It is.
Yeah, it was just, like I said, connecting of the dots, and it really was just sparking all the
totally. Yeah, you see this guy on a DV, or like you said, a VHS at the time, and then he's right there playing. You're like, well, if I can do what he's doing, I could have a chance, And can you kind of dive into how you made the climb to professional paintball and how that route went?
Right. So going back to SC Village, it was such a good scene, like I was talking about, that there was such a good pool of talent. And what happened was the Ironmen of the time disbanded. And basically the majority of the Ironman guys formed Excessive, which left a huge void in the Ironmen. They had no players. I think they had like Billy Wing, Eric Roberts, and that might have been it. Maybe Catfish at the time. So there was literally 8 spots. So what they did is they had an open tryout. And being at SC Village, the Mecca of paintball, you knew about it. So I went to it, as well as Scott Kemp and a few other guys who are kind of part of the Hostile Kids, or who have a long history within paintball. And more or less, I went out, played really good, and I made the team.
Nice.
And that was it.
Weren't you with SoCal Kids? You were playing Division 3, I think, was the highest division you played at the time.
Yeah, at the time I was just playing like local tournaments. Anything I could. I mean, I was 16. I had no money whatsoever. I wasn't traveling to any national events. So the best you could do is play like the big local things, like Cal Jam of the time.
Right.
So you made the jump from a D3 to pro? Wow.
Pretty much, yeah. And at the time, it wasn't even called D3. I mean,
that's right.
How far we're going back. I mean, you could probably say we were rookies, novice. Like,
right.
Wow.
Right.
It was, but the real thing was we were playing at SC Village with a ton of good people. So I had that to my advantage.
Beautiful. Amazing, man. Yeah, I mean, and that's just a testimony to anybody out there who wants to, if you want to get on a team bad enough, surround yourself by people who are doing what you want to do, right? And really study the crafts. Because I know you, Brandon, you're a smart guy, a really smart guy, and you study your crafts. When you get involved in something, you're all in. So you can do what Brandon Short did. You can make a pro team. You got to, obviously you got to position yourself well. You got to watch the right people and take that chance. You took that chance. You showed up at the tryout and you kicked ass and you made the team. And that's what it took.
Yeah, and I think it also goes back to your work ethic, which Brandon's not someone who's very active on social media. He doesn't promote himself. You've never been that guy. You've always been really quiet, but I don't think a lot of people realize it. And I know this from being your teammate for so long. I played with you on multiple different teams. We were talking about this before the show. We've won all 3 world championships that I've won, and same with you, have been on the same team, 2 on the Ironman together, 1 on Dynasty together. I think you won an extra series championship with Dynasty when I wasn't there. But as far as like World Cup wins and things like that, I have seen firsthand, my first pro team was the Ironman when I was 15 years old, and you were already on that team established for a couple seasons, and you were really entering your prime. But it was your work ethic that was always so immaculate. It was something that you didn't really see anywhere in the league. You treated it like Kobe Bryant treated his craft. You truly, truly, truly did, as far as studying your opponents, putting the time in every single day. You didn't just show up on the weekends to play for fun with your friends. You took it like a full-time job. You took it like something that you wanted to go out and be the best at. And that's why you had so much success. And I think it's important to highlight, because again, so many people in the sport, they don't self-promote. I do a lot of self-promotion. I always have. I think I enjoy sharing my process with people for many reasons. I find that it does inspire some people. It motivates me as well. It makes me keep myself accountable. If I say I'm going to do something and I put it out there on social media, I'm like, okay, sure, I got to follow through with this, So there's many reasons, and people have different ways of going about it. But you were always quiet and to yourself, but working harder than 99% of the people in the league. So
without a doubt, one of the 100%. hardest working paintball players in the league, like in the history of the game. Short, you are one of the hardest working paintball players. It was amazing to watch you work.
Absolutely. At practices, even like when, let's talk about that though. Your mindset growing up when you first got on the Ironman. 2005 is your first year with the Ironman, right?
2004.
2004. Okay, so right before Oliver signed his contract. That's right. Okay.
It was, So without getting into all the crazy back details of my team history, to get back to like the work ethic, and people always ask like, how do you go pro? Like, how do you get good? I mean, it's like anything in life. You got to work super hard at stuff. It's just nothing ever is going to come to you.
That's right.
And I always knew that, well, I mean, really, it was more out of love of the game that the work was inspired. Mm-hmm. So, but I knew that I wanted to be the best. Like when I was 13 years old, 14 years old, and I fell in love with paintball, I had like 2 goals, and it's kind of weird. I told myself, 1, I want to be the best. And then 2, which is kind of like something I don't talk about, is I said I really want to help change the game of paintball. Because I've always thought that paintball could be on higher levels as far as notoriety and just the overall game. But getting back to the work ethic, I always knew I needed to work harder than the next guy. And I didn't ever want to show how hard I worked. And there wasn't really social media at the time, but I've always said, like, I don't want to put it out there that I'm working out, because you know what happens? Someone goes on social media, you're going to motivate your competitors.
Yeah.
Let them think you're playing video games till 2 a.m. at night.
Yeah.
But when I was growing up, all I wanted to do was play paintball.
I love that.
I was lucky because I had Hollywood Sports down the road from my house, and they let me play there. So there were consistent weeks, where I was playing 5 times a week.
Wow.
There would be the weekdays, and then the mandatory practices for the pro teams. And back then we practiced a lot more, it seemed like.
Yeah.
It seemed like we played a lot more on the weekends, for sure. Like we would usually have a field to ourselves, and I know we shot more paint. Our guns also shot a little faster, but it just felt like we played more points. I do agree. The grind felt.
We did at least 3 weekends leading up, and then we did like local guys would always get together. There just wasn't ever weekends where you didn't get together to play paintball.
So
yeah,
true.
Totally.
Yeah. Yeah. And Short, I think I know, sitting back on your career as you're retired now, I think you absolutely accomplished both of those goals, because you did become one of the best Snake players to ever play the game. And you have changed the game with Pro Tour. The Pro Tour format is one of the most revolutionary things that has happened to paintball, in the sense that you're talking about, of giving it that notoriety and giving it the platform to be able to have that competitive debut where just like you have fight night, with like you said on your last interview, with football or basketball in the evening, and you can watch this show. There's never been anything like that before, and that's all thanks to you. You're the godfather of that.
For sure. And I mean, I feel really good about my playing career. So now it's a good time to attack that other goal.
Yeah.
And yeah, I've kind of just started with it, but yeah.
Well, dude, your playing career again, since you know, a lot of it was before social media and a lot of it was before any of that. But your playing career is truly one of the more decorated and stacked careers. When you talk about legends in the game, it's like, okay, well, how much have they won in the U.S.?
Mm-hmm.
Cool. Have they led a team to a victory in the U.S.? Have they gone overseas? And back then it was the Millennium. Now it's NXL Europe. Essentially the same thing. Have they been able to go over there and win a pro Millennium event? That's a big one, right? Like you have to have that in your resume if you're going to be considered one of the best, because it's a whole nother world when you go over and compete with another team where it's just you and 4 or 7 other guys that you're not just a player, you're a teacher as well. And you have to bring a group of guys together. And that's why a lot of the European teams would pay for American players to come over there, is to kind of teach them and groom them. And you did that with Nexus. I do forget the tournament that you guys
Shout
won.
out Nexus, baby. Let's go.
But was it Malaga or was it a France tournament that you won with Nexus?
So we won that year 2 events. We won Toulouse, which was the 3rd event, I think. It's all fuzzy
France.
now. Toulouse.
Yeah, okay. Right.
And then we won the World Cup, which was the last tournament in France as well.
Okay.
But yeah, those were my European years. Those were a lot of fun.
Yeah. But like you've done it all. You've gone over, you've gone overseas, you've won over there, you've won in Australia, which is, in my opinion, I think Australian paintball is the 3rd biggest league in the world. I think, it goes US and then Europe, and then Australia has become very competitive. But that's what it takes. And you've done it in so many different places. You've traveled to compete all over the world. So as your career progressed, because I would like to get into the honestly, what I felt were the golden years of paintball. I even posted a video about it on my Instagram not too long ago of like that one-on-one. I'm sure you remember against the Russians.
Watching that video, like, it brought me right back. I had such anxiety. Like, that video popped up. I watched it, and somehow you remember, but you kind of forget, obviously, the details. And I knew that one-on-one took place, but watching that, I was like, oh my God, I hope he wins. And you had no paint. I'm like, wait, how does he do this? What's happening here?
Dude,
it was crazy.
That was insane. So obviously then you could have coaching on the sidelines, right? So everyone's yelling to everybody. And I remember Kirill and I, we were both out of paint. And I absolutely remember picking paint off the ground. And for some reason in my mind, I go, every time you load your hopper with your pod, you kind of dump the pod and there's still like 3 or 4 good paintballs in the pod, that haven't touched the ground, that like sit in there. And I remember thinking that. And at that time, I ended up retreating back. So like in the video, you could see Kirill also finds a full pod that fell out of his pack.
Wow.
So he gets loaded up. But as he retreated to find this full pod, because some people in the stands were telling him, hey, Kirill, there's a full pod in this bunker. I retreated and I grabbed like 5 or 6 fresh paintballs out of a pod that I already used to load. Yeah. And so I had like a few good balls. Kirill finds a full pod and comes storming at me.
Yeah, I saw
like
that.
Literally storming at me, ripping. And I just, I put a good ball on him. Again, like short, we again, this kind of goes back to you because being on the team, I was so young. You were a few years older. You were a little more seasoned. I was, let's see, that was 2007. So that was really my first full season on the team. I got on the team in, mid 2006. And so we always worked hard, and fundamentals were something we did all the time. And you know what? It just paid off in a big moment. And yeah, watching that video, I couldn't believe, because I've been looking for that video for a long time, just of the whole match, not just the one-on-one, because that was such a special era. You look at the video there, it's literally like almost a 360 surrounding of grandstands. Like that, to this day, I think is the most epic cheer that I've ever heard,
And for the listeners, what year was that? So that if the listeners want to go find that.
Yeah, 2007. So this guy just posted it. His name's Nima. He's been posting a bunch of old school videos. So you could go on YouTube and search PSP World Cup 2007 Ironman versus Russian Legion finals, and you can see the whole match. And back then, Shorty, if you remember, Ty, you remember this too. It was best of 3 matches in the finals. So
insane.
you didn't play a team 1 match. You played full X-Ball matches, best of 3. Like insane. And you're gonna get the best team.
And back then, playing the Russian Legion was crazy. Like those guys were so good. And if you beat the Russians, you're like, oh my God, we got lucky.
Yeah. I felt
to beat them 2 out of 3 times, like you really had to be on your A game.
Well, it's no wonder you guys had a stacked team and you guys were playing top notch ball.
Yeah, I mean, they beat us the first game though. This one-on-one happened in the second match. You remember that, right? Short. We lost the first game. I think it was close. It was like 9-6 or something. I honestly don't remember the score, but we lost the first game, won the second one, and then the third game was also close. I think we won 7-6. I remember we were 1 point up, and we were holding them off in the last 10 seconds.
Yeah. So the first game was back and forth. Game 2, something clicked though, and we started destroying them.
So we beat
them bad.
That after that one-on-one, we went up and scored 6 points in a row. We went up a lot to a little. They made a little comeback, but it wasn't close. Yeah, we beat the brakes off of them that one. They kind of.
I remember there was our back guys were just were on such point that tournament, or that at least that finals match where they were just shooting the first 2 guys coming out of the Dorito side.
Yeah,
and we were just blowing them off the field. It was crazy.
Yeah. Shorty, I mean, you have notched. There's literally not a notch on the belt that you haven't got in your pro career. You've got them all, and not very many players will ever be able to say that. So that's a huge, huge boost for you, man. And you've really taken the game and inspired so many people. And we tip our hat to you for that, brother. And in style, in my personal opinion, Brandon Short has the greatest style in paintball. Let it be known. This guy is the most stylish.
Shout out. So in those years, I wore blue goggles, but Short, you're the one who told me to wear the blue goggles.
Yeah.
You had the sick yellow frames. And
I know.
You had you took Mouse a little more under your wing than me. You guys lived close together. You guys got to work out together. You guys were a little closer, but I mean, we both looked up to you so much, especially I know Mouse did. He really shaped his game after you. I don't know if he'll admit that, but it's 100% the case. And same with me, but style, absolutely.
Oh my God.
But also back in that 2007 finals match, wasn't it 2000? I don't think it was 08. Maybe it was 08 when you dislocated your shoulder in the finals and continued the point and won the point. Was that 07 or 08?
That was the first year. So 2007, and that was game 3.1.
Yeah.
So that kid, I'm sorry, I don't know his name. He released
Nima. Yeah.
Nima. He released at least 2 of the videos.
Nice.
Okay.
So anyways, he released the final one where I did pop out my arm and I watched it and it was painful to watch.
That's because Mans is a beast right here. Shorty don't play. Get him out there.
I was not lifting weight. I was not lifting any weights back then.
Do you know how inspiring that was? Yeah, but I mean, you were running. Your quads were stacked back then. I totally remember your quads were. You did everything you could. You did everything you could to be in the best shape for paintball. So lifting weights isn't going to do much for you for paintball unless it's core functional type stuff. But you did stuff that made you fast, and you truly were one of the fastest in the game. You were so quick. But yeah, that match again, we're at the World Cup, biggest event. Honestly, to this day, I feel like that year, maybe 08 as well, was just the biggest tournament that I've ever played in. As far as how many people were watching, the magnitude, and for so long, I truly thought, am I having some sort of time distortion to where I remember it as bigger than it was? And you're right, though. Since that dude Nima shout out to Nima, he's from Iran, and I guess when all those videos came out, he saved them to his computer and was like, these are going to be gold one day. And sure enough, he's right, because you can't find them, and he just released them. But it really solidified how big that time was. So,
it was crazy Shorty, back then. It was insane.
Nuts, dude. But Shorty,
you're not imagining anything. 2007 was crazy. I mean, the size of the event, the fact that they had 3 sides of the field covered with grandstands.
Yeah,
it was just a bigger better time. And
Yeah.
what made it cool is World Cup felt different from the rest of the tournaments. Whereas you go to a World Cup now, it kind of feels like the rest. There's more people, but back then there was a real difference.
There was, you know, I do gotta say though, this last World Cup, I truly did feel like it felt special. I felt like it was pretty darn well done. I think the NXL has gotten much better, and I truly this last World Cup, I remember walking around and just like they had a big Bud Light booth, you had the big podium, the DJs. I thought that it felt really special again, and it was actually the first. It felt like for the first time in a long time, I was like, oh, this kind of feels like World Cup again. You know,
it did. Yeah, I feel that. Absolutely.
Such a bummer too with everything going on, because paintball is definitely it's gone through waves, and it was on the rise again.
Yeah,
and I'm not saying it's not on the rise anymore, but with the pandemic, it's definitely probably going to take a step back.
It could take a step back. I'm curious because it could also boom. If people can survive through this, I think people are going to be very excited to get out and play. And if jobs return and everyone can kind of manage and not too much harm is done, I think it could boom because people are going to really want to be outside playing and you know, that kind of thing. But
yeah, somebody told me the other day, and it made a lot of sense, that paintball actually does fairly well in a recession. Not that this is a recession, but it kind of is. But it does well because it's not a big ticket item. It's more of like an entertainment item. So people are going to be more inclined to try to go out, play paintball, enjoy their lives, try to forget about the negativity that is
instead of buying a new car or
instead of buying the new car, you'll go play paintball because it's a fun day. Get your mind off everything. It's affordable.
Totally. That's the magic of paintball, man. It's like a time distortion. Like when you step on that field, nothing else is going on. You get to escape reality. There's no pandemic. It's just you in that moment on the field with your buddies. You know, nothing else exists. So we hope to see that a lot of people are still going to the fields and having fun.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, paintball is just the best. It's the best. There's nothing I love more than like, look at these dudes. The three of us right here, the stories that we have together are pretty insane. I mean, just from even practices. I love practice so much. I honestly, we miss you every time we go to practice. I love when I see you there.
I know.
You know, it's like
I slept on Short's couch for like 5 years.
Yeah, dude. You know, damn it.
I slept with like Bruno would come up in the morning and lick my face off every morning. It was the best day of my life. I was like, I love you so much, Bruno. For everybody that doesn't know, that's Bruno is Short's dog. Greatest dog in the world. I love Bruno. Shout out to Bruno. That's my whole heart right there.
He did all the testing for the HK masks, from what I hear.
Yeah.
If you guys follow the little bit that Short does post on social media. But hey, Short, let's kind of dive back in a little bit, cap off your playing career, because again, it's super storied. So we're at 2007, 08, the world titles back to back. Let's dive back in and kind of get caught up to where we are now.
For sure. So, I mean, if you look at one thing I'm really proud about my paintball career is that I didn't really jump around from team to team. And I know not everyone has that option, but growing up on the Ironman, Shane Pastana, who was our coach, always preached like it's all about like kind of a brotherhood and sticking together, being with your tribe. And I really kind of took that to heart. So I was on the Ironman for, I think, 9 years.
Wow.
So the time came that it just kind of ran its course. And looking back, I probably should have left a little bit sooner than I did. Mm-hmm. But ultimately, I got to the right destination, which was Dynasty. So, which was the best. Like, honestly, it's hard to compare the two teams, but I love Dynasty. Like,
I mean, it's truly like, I feel like it's like Lakers and Celtics, two just amazing franchises that also have been rivals for much of their career. And you know, I'm there with you, Short. Grew up with Iron Man and now Dynasty, and it's
I just love everything Dynasty represents. I always say like they're the good guys of paintball. They really are. They started as friends. It's not really a company team. It was just a friend group that has like a super strong core that kind of, I don't know. It's just
no, you're right, dude.
I'm proud to be on that team.
Same. That's what we always say. Tyler and I, when we talk off the air, we're like, man, it's an honor to play for Dynasty because of the guys that built that brand. it's so pure and so real, and they were so innovative in their play style and everything they did in the sport. And it does not get better. I don't think there's a comparison. The Dynasty guys are just legends.
It hasn't lost that zest either. It still has that, that true good guy, real deal, fresh, full heart feeling. And I'm just so bummed out I can't see everybody like every weekend like we were seeing everybody, because you guys just fill the cup up to over the brim and overflowing every time we see each other. And so let's dive into that. So you make Dynasty, and then what goes on from there?
Well, I didn't have to try out for Dynasty. I had Ryan Greenspan
I was like
begging me to come to the team.
He begged me too. Damn,
he begged me to come to the team. He wined and dined me. He bought me like a cheeseburger one time in Pacific Beach. We had like a little meeting, but the time was right. And I remember I texted Ryan. I said, if you can't beat him, join him. And then we were off and running. And not only did I join, but I brought along Kyle Spica, who was my roommate at the time, and then joined up with the good guys. And that's where our stories came back together. We all intersected.
Oh, don't forget me, Short. I came on the team that year, too.
You did. I'm sorry. Yeah, it was 2013, me, you, and Spica. And that was
I made a mistake. I probably should have, because I was supposed to come that year, too, because I had just guested with Dynasty at the end of 2012 at that Vegas event. We won the event, and Ryan was also begging me, buying me cheeseburgers. And I decided to go to the Ironman. I don't know. I wanted to go.
That's right.
That's right.
You joined. Yeah. Because we had built up a team on the Ironman full of young guys.
Right.
And this was the thing about the team. It's like you didn't really have much say in the team. It was a business. So things were changing. A lot of people were jumping ship. And like I said, it was just time for me. And it just so happened that you were coming back and you would have really helped us out.
Yeah.
Which you helped that team out, but I was long gone.
I know, totally. There was the allure of like trying to, because Mouse came over at the same time. There was a allure of trying to build something of our own instead of joining Dynasty, who was already Dynasty. I saw it as a fun challenge, but politics ended up kind of getting in the way of all of that. And, ultimately I found my way to Dynasty, which Tyler and I talk about it. We'll be here until they either cut me or we retire. So, we're here for the long haul. Dynasty, you're right. It's the, they are the good guys, and they're the squad to be in. So yeah, you and Tyler both joined Dynasty, and you guys went on a run.
Mm-hmm. We did. It was what was good is kind of what you said is I never wanted to join Dynasty, even though I loved the team. Like I loved them from afar, like growing up, but they were already winners. They were established. And that's what made the Ironman so special is we had to rebuild. We won. But at the time, Dynasty kind of took a nosedive. Like they were not winning.
That's
right.
They
were not playing that good. They still had all the talent. And then grabbing me, Spica, and Tyler, it was the perfect boost and combination of everything that we just came out the gate swinging.
Yeah.
Hard.
I want to highlight that real quick too, because again, Short, like just people don't realize this, but it is something I know. You had such a massive influence on Alex Goldman, who is one of the best players in the game. When he's on, he's hard to stop, right?
For sure.
But he kind of grew up under your wing. And then Kyle Spica, same thing, dude. Kyle really blossomed under your wing, and he openly talks about it. He gives you your credit. And Kyle's become a household name. He's become a phenomenal player. Like you've had a major impact on the players that are at the top right now.
Hands down.
So me and Mouse were really good buddies growing up, and he loved paintball too. I mean, like all of us, it's the same story, just different character. And he loved it, and we would always talk paintball, and we had like just the same ideas about how to play. But with Mouse, he would jump around from team to team. He would leave me, go back to Aftermath. But he deserved that.
Well, me too, because me and Mouse came over from Aftermath together, and then he went back and was like, "Oh, what the hell, dude?" And then this whole thing. Yeah, I was like,
I remember. No, I'm pretty sure we won World Cup, and then he left right after.
Yeah.
And I was in New Zealand for a little bit, and I found out through somebody. I'm just like, what? Like, why?
Yeah. Yeah. Hey, we won again though without him.
Yeah, no, for sure, easy. So then, when I kind of like took on Spica as like a little bit of a mentor, because he really wanted to figure out how to navigate the pro paintball scene. I said, okay, I'll help you out. I'll get you on the Ironman. Just don't quit on me, and I'll help you get, kind of follow this thing through and figure it out. So
and you've had such a tremendous impact on the industry as a whole. And like Marcelo said, some of the best players to ever play paintball have apprenticed under you, Brandon. And you've really, I hope that everybody out there really realizes what you've done for paintball and, the massive impact that you've had, not only in your own career, but on the industry of paintball as a whole for professional athletes. It's really amazing.
Thank you. I actually want to say some nice things about you, but you guys are obviously too busy saying nice things about me, so just keep it coming, please.
Oh, we'll keep showering you, man.
This is nice.
You're the star. You're the
star. Can I come back next week or what?
Yeah. And actually, I want to kind of dive into, we'll get back to Dynasty and that run, but what does it take to be one of the best Snake players in the game, and what kind of a mentality and drive and work ethic do you have to accomplish that?
So the one thing I say about paintball is it's a real sport, and at the top, it's professional. Like the guys who are at the top, they train, most of them, like they're professionals. And really, which you guys have touched on, is you don't get paid and rewarded like true professionals. Yet, if you don't dedicate yourself as if it's a job 24/7, you're going to flounder. You're not going to be good. So it's this really kind of tricky situation to navigate. But I treated it a lot of sacrifice. So I treated it as if I was making tons of money, and all I did was play paintball. Which at the time, when you're 16 to 20, whatever, you're living with your parents, or really you don't have much bills, and it's easier to figure out. But
Shorty, I think we lost you for a second. So
okay, sorry.
The
go
audio.
Back into that.
Go back into that. The audio recording probably is good, but if not, let's just kind of repeat the last little 20-second piece that you had.
Yeah, all I was saying is when I was younger, I treated it as if it was my full-time job. I did it 24/7. And luckily, I had my parents to support me. I didn't have many bills. I didn't own a dog. I didn't have a wife. So all I did was play paintball, and my life allowed it. But that's what you got to do. If you want to be the best at anything, you got to devote yourself as if you're making millions of dollars.
And you had unparalleled work ethic, Brandon. You would always be the first one at the field, always, doing the extra drills, going the extra mile, putting in the extra work, watching the video, whatever you could do to make yourself the sharpest player you could be, you did it. And that's why you accomplished all the accolades you did, because you cared, you loved it. You dug deep, man, and you really gave everything you had. Yeah.
Yeah, they say something in sports like you got to fall in love with the process, and that's kind of what happened. Like I loved trying to be good, trying to accelerate my career, and try to just be the best I could be.
Absolutely.
100%. Like you said, we don't get paid like other professional athletes. We, if we can navigate and treat paintball like a business, you can make a modest living. The experiences are going to go above and beyond anything you can get, no matter how much money you have. That's for sure. There's experiences that we've had in paintball that no matter how wealthy you are, you can't buy them. And that's, not just to justify what we do. It's true. I have a lot of people that I tell them stories and they go, wow, that's just so crazy. Whether it's going down to Colombia and staying with a family there that is, you immerse yourself in the culture and get experiences that you would otherwise never have, or going to Prague or wherever it is. I mean, we could go on and on.
Those are the rewards in which you're blessed with. Like when you do really good at paintball, or when you really apply yourself, you win, you do all that good stuff, your accolades are getting to travel the world, getting to make money, getting to do all these great things.
Correct.
Absolutely. Yes. Yeah, it's a byproduct of that hard work. You set the groundwork there, and then you're going to get the rewards there.
Absolutely. And you're right, Short. The biggest thing that I took from that is so true, that if you aren't in love with the process and you don't treat it like another professional sport, you do fall behind, because there are players within the industry. You're definitely one of the, all three of us here have been, it's why we have been on the same team and shared successes, things like that. We are willing to do that, whether the pay's there or not. We're going to treat it that way because we're in love with the process. And so if you don't do that as well, you will fall behind, and you're not going to show up Friday morning at the tournament and beat us, and that's just the truth. So,
and I'll tell you what, losing at paintball is no fun. Like,
no,
not only does losing suck, it's painful, it's demoralizing. Like, it's just not fun.
It feels very personal in paintball for some reason. It's just like, maybe because you're shooting someone, but it feels so very personal. Yeah.
It's a bad time. You just don't do it.
Yeah. What's the worst you've ever gotten beaten? Was it maybe 2004 Pomona with the Ironman?
No. To jump back, 2004, I did the Ironman thing. 2005, I joined Legacy with all the HK guys.
Legacy.
Which Marky talked about. And at first we were okay, but really looking back, you're like, oh my God, we had no idea what we were doing.
Dude, I remember I was on Oakland Assassins and we would play you guys, and no disrespect, but I think we scored like 20 points against you guys. Yeah, it was like the highest scoring game ever.
In the first half?
I forgot, Pennsylvania. I don't know. That sounds about right. It was the fourth event, Pennsylvania. We played Strange, and they beat us so bad. It was like 24-0, and they were overshooting us so bad. I've never done this. I quit. I didn't quit the team, but like,
you were like,
there was probably like 10 minutes left in like an hour-long ass beating, and I'm like, dude, I'm done. Like, no one's trying. I took my stuff off. I'm like, I'm not going back out there.
Well, the games were 25-minute halves. 25-minute half, dude.
Full auto. 15 balls a second, full auto.
The mercy rule was 20-0, and that happened a lot. It was terrible. So you gotta beat 20 times, and then they're like, okay, you guys can
that was
That's
brutal.
Wild. That is
brutal. All right, so I want to jump back into starting with Dynasty. Let's round off your career, and then I want to dive into what you've been doing lately, which is Pro Tour, and really dig into that. Yeah,
for sure. So the Dynasty run was amazing. Not only was I playing on Dynasty, I was reunited with Oliver, which was huge.
Yeah,
everybody was just super pumped, and we came out swinging. We won, I think, 2 or 3 events that first year. I actually broke my hand, which Tyler, you broke your hand too.
Yeah,
the very first event, I didn't even make it. The very last point of practice leading up to the tournament, I broke my freaking hand, which I've never really been that hurt. Yeah, I popped my arm out, but I broke my hand. Yeah, and like I wanted to play. Like I tried. It was just it wasn't happening. Couldn't pull the trigger. So but then I think 2 weeks later, I played Huntington Beach, and Tyler broke his hand. And I shouldn't have even been out there. My hand was still purple, but I was still playing. So still plugging. But yeah, we went on a tear. I don't know what else to say besides like another just great chapter. It was just a lot of fun at practice, a lot of fun hanging out, winning tournaments, always being in the hunt. Pretty much we were the top team for that kind of time frame. So
we won.
Absolutely.
We won multiple tournaments that year. We won the series title, and then a couple of years later, we won the World Cup title.
That was the year that I came on board. Just shout out.
There we go. Let's go.
I'll never forget. Just because right after we won, Short, you ran out on the field and you hugged me and you were like, "I need you." I'll never forget you saying that, because we've won every World Cup together. Every World Cup that I've won has been together. Every World Cup you've won has been. We were on the same team. 2 on the Ironman, 1 on Dynasty, and I was just like, dude. We're back, man. Cool. It was amazing.
All the wins are special, but like that was probably top 3 for me.
That's up there for me too, man. Yeah, it really was.
I just watched that video. It's got like 3.5 million views on it. It's a pretty big video right there on YouTube.
Wow. Yep. Everybody head over to HKARMY Dynasty World Cup 2015. Give it some love. That video is epic. Yeah, that's the one.
That's where Spica saves the day.
Yeah.
Yep. He goes Super Saiyan at the end. Ah! Yeah.
That whole, I don't know if you remember, that whole tournament, you couldn't even run out to the snake side.
Yeah.
And so, like, snake side wasn't doing too much besides surviving.
Yep.
Spica kept shooting me in the back of the head because I was like in front of him. And I was getting so mad at him. I'm like, we shouldn't even play him. And then lo and behold, he saves the day and he's a superstar.
That's so awesome.
He had a little bit of help.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Just gonna go ahead and say that. Everyone thinks he won a 4-on-1. I'm like, dude. Yeah. I shot Malloy and Fedorov. Fedorov should have got a major penalty on that too. And
that was a bad last point though. I mean, like,
terrible. Yeah. Oh
we executed so poorly.
So poorly. So poorly.
Came away with it. Yeah.
That's how tournaments go though, is chaos sometimes, you know, and teams get rewarded when they run recklessly. Like there's something to be said about that, you know, and it's hard to stop. And that was a field that you can really control through the lanes. There were big lanes. You couldn't get out wide on the Dorito side either. The Dorito corner was super hard to get to. But for some reason in that point, they just ran everywhere, running and shooting.
Couldn't shoot anybody off the break.
And then they also shoot us. Yeah, well, who knows? Right. You know, there's cheating going on at that time too. Not saying they did, but it's just
you can't stop at that point.
Yeah, totally. So that was an epic one. That was really cool. So Short, what did lead to you retiring? Did we just push you out? You were like, you know, you were over hanging out with us or what?
I was like, I'm too good for these guys. I gotta move on. They need to figure this out without me. It was tough. For some reason, I also had this mindset that I wanted to retire at 30. Why I said that, I don't know. But I've always had that in the back of my head.
Jordan,
and then I played to 31, and it was just time. Like, everything was pointing in that direction. I had gone back to school. I had just graduated. I just realized that there was a whole part of my life that I was still kind of a rookie at. So while I mastered professional paintball, I really had nothing else. Like, I needed to figure out my next chapter, my career. I love traveling for paintball, but I didn't want to make a career out of it. Like, Marcelo, you work really hard, you make money for these clinics, but you're constantly gone. And that just didn't really resonate with me. So I saw the writing on the wall, and I figured I really needed to step back and completely start with a blank canvas to figure out my next chapter. And I don't even know if I figured out that next chapter yet. I mean, last year was my first year retired. I got married to Caitlin, who I love.
Yeah, Caitlin.
Best decision ever.
Congratulations. That wedding, by the way, best wedding I've ever been to, dude.
Seriously, best wedding I've been to.
The most beautiful.
It was a lot of fun.
Dude, the most beautiful, crazy wedding I've ever been to.
Yeah, I loved it. That was so
like
good.
The first year I accomplished that. And then I also started working at HK, which has been super good. Like, this is, like I mentioned before, a paintball team. And I'm learning a lot of basic skills here that I didn't know. Like, just, it's hard to get into the thicket of it, but just know, like, I've learned a lot of, like, basic workforce stuff. So it's
business 101 on the ground floor. You know what I mean? You're learning how to run a business, essentially, all the ins and outs. Yeah,
exactly. I'm seeing the operations on a day-to-day basis. And even if I'm not doing one particular skill, I understand you need that skill. It's like I'm learning the anatomy of a paintball team.
Totally. And I got to give a big shout out to Big Sexy out there. I told him I would. Shout out to Big Sexy running the shop out there.
He's here right now.
Major shout out Big Sexy.
Doing magic.
Hey, he's making waves. No, see, HK is always at the forefront of marketing and funny stuff, dude. Big Sexy and Mark have been putting out some funny content. I love it.
And Marky just hit 100,000 followers on TikTok too. I saw that. He's doing good on there.
Yeah, I want to give HK a shout out. I mean, honestly, from somebody who loves paintball, like, this is the company that loves paintball. Like, they want to push it forward. It's such a different mentality than the other companies. No disrespect to them. It's just, this is like the youthful, cool company that can push the sport forward versus kind of the old way of doing things. Like, these guys are the future. This is Dynasty 2001. Like, these guys are that next wave of paintball.
Yeah, and listening to like Marky's podcast could damn near bring tears to your eyes. Just the story and the heart, the passion. HKARMY is a staple in the industry, and they're just an inspirational story and inspirational people and great-hearted people. Anytime there's something that is a problem or if anything needs help, they're the first ones to be there helping. They have the biggest hearts in paintball, and we love HKARMY. Huge shout out to them.
I think one day someone will do a documentary on this whole thing, and it'll be pretty special.
Yeah, for sure.
Absolutely.
And I'm happy to be a part of it, even if I'm selling paintball pods or whatever I have to be. I'm glad I'm a part of this story. It's fun.
Well, it's a team, and you're a part of that heart of that team, that body that is doing so much work out there.
Yeah, man, absolutely. So, I mean, Short, all of that does kind of lead to where you're at right now, working with HK. But honestly, most importantly, most notably, and it's why Tyler, for those that are just listening, Tyler has a Pro Tour logo as his background right now. Pro Tour's been your baby for a couple years now. I remember when you started talking about it years ago and brought it to fruition. And I feel like you've always had this vision for paintball, how we can present it as a clean and classy format. In a very digestible way. So let's talk about that. I think that's, really the meat and bones of this whole thing, because that's where we are right now is Pro Tour. And I know you got a big debut coming up with Ronnie and Ryan Greenspan. Ronnie Dizon and Ryan Greenspan are about to duke it out. We are actually, guys, for everybody listening, we are talking about this Thursday, so it's right before the release, but Tyler, myself, Short, all have already seen the footage. We know what happens, and by the time you guys hear this, you guys will have seen it too, and it was an epic match. I can't wait to get into that in a little bit, but Short, how did this all come about? How did you create this baby? Because it's amazing, it's great for the sport, and we're pumped on it.
So, like I've said, I've always, at a young age, was like, man, paintball should be so much bigger than it is. Like, I've always just seen it for what it is, and it's amazing. And I'm like, man, how does the rest of the world not see this?
Yeah.
So I always like, how can you present this to the world? How can this grow? So I kind of did reverse engineering, and I worked my way backwards, trying to answer all those questions. But it all really started in 2003. So to go back a little bit, my friend Dan, who was my high school friend, he was pretty well-to-do. He lived up in Palos Verdes, which is like a really nice area. There's a lot of space for horses. And he owned this house where he had a huge plot of land, like this beautiful green patch. And he liked paintball, and he bought an airball field.
Nice.
And the patch of grass was nowhere near the size of a normal X-ball field or 7-man field. It was a lot smaller. And the bunker set he bought was a lot smaller too. Wow. So this is where it kind of started. And I would always go there on a Friday and set the fields up for the weekend. And I remember I set up pretty much identical to the Pro Tour field that you see today.
Oh, that's so funny. Yeah, I didn't know that.
So this goes way back for me. At the time, I did a row of Doritos, a row of cans, and a row of Temples.
Cool.
And that was day one. It didn't have a name, but we played one-on-one. And that's where the first little indication in my head that, oh, that's a lot of fun, first of all.
Oh, yeah.
And I like the field. But I never really thought about it too much. And then fast forward, I would always talk to Oliver about like how we can make the game more professional. We always referred to tennis. We always joked about wearing like collared shirts.
Yeah.
Just having like a really clean look. So then I took, those conversations. Then I took my one-on-ones from back in the day, and I'm like, man, this is it right here. Like this is my idea. And one day I was just like, I need to like make this happen. I need to figure this out.
Yeah.
So I talked to Cassidy Sanders, who at the time worked for HK, and we started formulating a plan. He came up with that logo that Tyler has. So he was a big part of this. He helped me film the very first one, which actually has never seen the light of day, which was Ryan Greenspan versus Archie.
Whoa.
So we...
what a matchup.
Yeah, it was like I was like, all right, if we're gonna do this one time, I want to like get something that makes me excited.
Mm-hmm.
So we convinced Archie to fly out. We paid for him. Convinced Ryan, which is even harder to drive down the street, and we did it. And it looked super cool. However, our filming technique was terrible, and that's just because it was day one of filming.
Mm-hmm.
So we learned a lot. And that footage, there was like some cool highlights to it, but we just really couldn't do much with it.
Yeah.
And then, long story short, Cassidy moves on. I'm going to school. I'm playing on Dynasty. I'm dating Caitlin. There's just a lot going on in my life.
Yeah.
And then in comes David Quitman, who was like, hey, I'll help you kind of accomplish your goal to fully see a match from start to finish and put it on YouTube.
Shout out to Quitman. Quitman is the best dude ever, man. I love Quitman so much.
And it's really been like him, me, Marky, and Scott. Scott Kemp's helped me out a little bit along the way.
Yeah, he's always out there helping repping, and
he's always the backbone.
Scott's great, dude. How do you feel that Scott's playing for us now after you retired, dude? We finally got him. We need you back, Short.
Yeah, Shorty, come on, baby.
Scam, he finally makes his comeback, and then the pandemic happens.
I know. God.
Damn it.
I just want to give out a shout out to Skemp. His very first point back, he dove out to the temple and got a penalty. So I just want to give a major shout out to Scott.
Real quick, Short, I wanted to start thinking about what you're going to continue saying about Pro Tour. But one thing that we love on Dynasty is after every single match, Short sends us these long text messages.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, first to the 50, Dynasty. First to, make it to the corner, infamous, like all these stats, which are funny because as, now you are a league owner, they're real deal stats, but Short always sends us these very in-depth stats about the game that we just played. And they're awesome. I love that.
I watch being retired as a whole new element. Like I get to be kind of a fan, even though it kills me to watch it. But I get to be a fan and watch you guys and get angry and get happy. But,
you're always there with us, man. Every step of the way. Always.
Very much so, still part of the team, and like we use those stats. I mean, they make sense. They're valuable stuff. That's like, oh man, okay, we need to adjust here because clearly that's a problem that you can't ignore. But sorry, that was just a little interjection.
Without getting too into it, I think those stats really have some value that
they do.
A lot of people they don't talk about. So.
Absolutely.
So you had Quitman, he got on board, and then we left off there.
Yeah. So basically, Quitman comes on board. He says he'll help me see it through, start to finish. So then I was like, all right, who else can I get to do this thing? Who's intriguing, right? So then I asked yours truly, Tyler Harmon over here.
Boom.
Love Tyler, amazing player. I know he's going to put on a good show. Not only is he going to play really well, Tyler, you have like one of the best charismatic personalities in the game. So I knew that was a home run, right?
Thanks, brother.
And then I asked Kyle. I asked Kyle Spica. He was on the Ironman. So we kind of had somewhat two local guys, easier to organize. Had you guys come out, ran the thing, did the thing, aired it, did it on Christmas, which I thought was pretty cool.
I'll never forget that. That was so much fun.
Yeah, it was exciting. We got to hype it up and release it on Christmas Day, which, that
was amazing, dude. I had friends that didn't know paintball too much other than me. They didn't ever really watch it, and I showed that to them. It was their first time viewing paintball, and they loved it.
Yeah, and I had my whole family over for Christmas, and everybody, like, we had a whole room full of people watching this thing, and it was just one of the best memories of my life. And not only that, but this fucking format is so much fun to play. Mm-hmm. I mean, just amazing. Yeah.
I had the same thing. I had my family, Caitlin's family over, and I remember we had it on the big screen, and I was so nervous. Here they're all sitting around watching my paintball video.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, I hope this thing comes out good. I really hope this is cool. Like,
dude, like a little inclination, of what Steven Spielberg. You're like,
it was pretty good. I mean, we're still learning. Like, we are literally at the ground floor of this thing.
Totally. I mean, I think you and I have already had conversations. Like you have tons of cool ideas of how to improve the viewership, and even the one that's launching in a couple hours with Ronnie and Ryan. It's only going to get better, and that's like
totally like
your vision. And
this one was better in my opinion, because we had commentating from yours truly. So like we're all kind
absolutely.
of invested in this.
I had a blast commentating it. By the way,
you commentated and Marky.
Yeah.
And yet I still see so many areas of improvement. Mm-hmm. The hardest thing though is my budget consists of $0. It's me doing this,
right?
Which is very limiting.
So how can we help you, Brandon? How can we help you make this more successful? Is there a way that we can rally the troops to help you in a certain way? Or I
think at this point, what I want is people just to tune in and watch.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like the more views I can get on this one, I can go back to HK, who's been really supportive about this, but this is not their business. Their business is paintball manufacturing. Like they have their
making
own
equipment, right?
They have their totally own mountains to climb. Like this is not what they do, but they've been more than supportive. They said, they'll help me out wherever they can. So if people tune in, show interest, I can bring it back to them and be like, all right, let's do this again with a little bit more effort, a little bit more money. Yeah. And let's see what we can do,
Well, let's start a GoFundMe or something. I mean, for God's sake, let's get you money in your pocket and let's make this thing happen. So whatever we can do.
I actually, me and Marcelo spoke the other day about kind of like a pay as you please donations. Yeah. I just think it's in poor taste right now with everything going on with coronavirus. Like, it's just not the time or place. That would be great, but I really want people just to tune in.
Just enjoy it right now.
Just enjoy it.
Absolutely. Enjoy and support by sharing it. Support by watching it. Support
everyone's
by
quarantine. Watch this. It's paintball. It's exciting.
Totally.
It's fun. So just tune in. That's what you can do for me.
So everybody out there,
you'll enjoy it.
Everybody out there, man, rally for this. Let's get the numbers jumping on this. Share this on all of your platforms. Let's get Short boosted to the fullest. Let's get this to be the #1 video on every platform. You know what I mean? Let's do whatever we can to help.
I mean, it really should be. You've got Ryan Greenspan and Ronnie Dizon playing against each other. This is old versus new. Ryan, one of the most legendary players in the game. One of the guys who can just break down almost any situation, forced to play a format that definitely fits to Ronnie's play style a little more. Young, hungry, very fundamentally sound. He doesn't have to worry too much about big decisions. It's one-on-one, right? Which is another reason I love, we could get so deep into this, and we have obviously talked about it quite a bit off the air, Short, but one-on-ones they're still more than fundamentals. Fundamentals are the things that are obviously highlighted, but gunfight logic is a huge part of it. And while you're not necessarily making big moves, and I mean, Tyler, you're the champ right now. You're waiting to see. Well, again, who you're about to play. I
can't wait to play him.
You're defending the belt, so
I can't wait.
We can start hyping that up right now because again, by the time everybody sees this, everybody knows Ronnie wins. Ronnie beats Ryan,
That's right.
Ronnie is going to be coming up and playing against Tyler Harmon, and I love me some Ronnie Dizon, but damn, Tyler, he is probably going to eat him up. Just gonna say, Tyler.
He's a phenomenal paintball player, and you like Brandon said earlier, you got to earn every step out there. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, Tyler, you're a savage, dude. And like Tyler can literally stand over every single one of the Pro Tour bunkers, and like he can push anyone around.
Ronnie, I'll be at the bottom corners, buddy. At the bottom corners, all right.
Oh, I can't wait. But Ronnie's someone who practices nonstop on his fundamentals. He really does, and he's very technically sound. But there's still a lot of logic into a one-on-one gun battle, right? And this is something, when I teach clinics, I noticed this a long time ago because I would see players when they would go up and they would snap shoot with a target that's like 20 feet away. And it's ball on ball. Every single shot, they look crisp. I'm like, wow, this is a great gunfighter. As soon as they get in a gunfight with an opponent, they lose. And I go, what's the disconnect here? Okay. There's something about timing and the distance and luring your opponent into it. So,
it's all about the choices. You got to make good choices.
Yeah. Snap shooting with a target is very important and helps you build that accuracy, but gunfight logic is an entirely different thing. And how you bully people into, where you want them to go, what part of the bunker you want them to use, predictability, being able to use those gun skills is is an entire game in its own. And that's why I do love the one-on-one format. And I love Pro Tour. Again, it's so classy. I love the scoring system. And we should get into that too, Short. Let's explain Pro Tour a little bit and why you came up with these kind of ideas and concepts for the one-on-one league.
For sure. So let's start with the field. So the field layout never changes. Even though I do actually want to make a few tweaks to it, but more or less you're looking at the 13 mid-sized temples. Now, the reason I did this is because it's a universal bunker. You can play 3 sides of it. But also when filming, I thought about it. If you're filming from a tennis angle, which is up above, you won't get blocked out with any objects. So if you have a small temple and then a large temple, that large temple is going to block out part of the field. So if you can film properly at that higher angle, these temples are going to allow you to catch all the action taking place.
Beautiful.
Not only did I do that for filming, I also said, where can more players come up through the ranks? Like, what is stopping people from coming up through the ranks? Well, there's numerous things. But one of the hardest things is just not being able to find a team and really rise up, right? Like we talked about it earlier, to circle back, being at SC Village, I was in the thick of everything.
Yeah.
Literally a pro tryout came to me, right? But if you're in New Mexico, let's say, there's not a good paintball scene there.
Totally.
So you don't get to see, the pros. But all it takes is one guy to rise up. So if you could set up this one-on-one field anywhere in the world, you can master it and become professional and take on other pros versus hoping to get on a pro team or anyway, you know what I'm saying?
Absolutely, Shorty. Yeah, absolutely.
I feel like this opens the door a lot more than it shuts. And I feel that the current format, even though I love it, it can shut the door on people, which I hate. Like I hate hearing people go, man, I want to find a team. Like there's no teams open for me, because the higher you get, the more bottleneck you get, right? Southern California, you have 2 pro teams, and that's a lot versus, let's go back to New Mexico, 0 pro teams. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay, so anyways. Sorry.
Okay, sorry.
Oh,
No. I was just saying, we're getting an audio lag. Sorry, guys. Sorry, Shorty. Just real quick, I just want to interject right there, though. I think it's important to say, like, I don't think your goal is to take over and make paintball better than 5-on-5 paintball or your one-on-one format. I think it's so important for us to have many formats. I think it's really, really important for our sport. We're a small sport where we don't have the numbers as, football, basketball, all of these other sports. We need to maximize our output, right? So if we have different opportunities for players to enjoy, as many as possible, the more, the better. Woods ball, 10-man, awesome. There's a whole scene that plays scenario paintball that is fantastic for the sport, Then we have our traditional, like, 5-on-5 tournament style paintball, one-on-ones, even multiple types of one-on-ones. Obviously, we recently had Cena on. They have their own version of a one-on-one that they just created. And honestly, it's a little more buzzer oriented and I don't want to use the word gimmick. It looks like it's going to be very entertaining and fun to watch, but it's a different format per se than yours in the one-on-one, even though it's still 1 versus 1. But I think having these different variations, these different options for people to watch, these different types of styles of play for the average consumer that doesn't know anything about paintball to get engaged with, maybe it'll connect with them, and resonate. And that's honk, honk, honk. What's going on at the HK office over there? No, but so I think it's great to have many formats, and one shouldn't try to take over the other. We're not to that point yet. They all need to flourish, right?
Totally. And that's not my goal, is to end one particular thing. What I want to do is open the floodgates. I want to push it and see how we can make it better, because our sport is completely in flux, right?
Yeah.
Like it started in the 80s, and it's going through changes. It's still a young thing that's trying to figure out what it is. And somebody's going to come along, whether it's me, whether it's Go Sports, they're going to dictate and they're going to change kind of the course of paintball. And this is just my idea. I'm super passionate, and it's something I could see growing and making the paintball a little bit more professional.
Dude, this is a format, Short. What you've got is a clean and classy format that I think could resonate with the masses. I would love if like you could, put something together and reach out to places like ESPN, whatever it is that can maybe get this, on a national level. Because again, I think it,
Totally.
There's a lot to be said. When you go back to the UFC is a good example. I relate your formula to the UFC. Because that's what it is, right? You have two players that are going to play against each other, and you have a long time to build that up, and it's like a fight, a UFC fight. And I always bring it back to, back in like 2007, 2008, 2009, I was really big into mixed martial arts in the UFC. I trained a lot of mixed martial arts. I watched every UFC that was out. I was a huge fan. A few years later, when women got into the sport, I'm not going to lie, I wasn't a big fan of women's UFC fighting. I didn't care to tune in, but it wasn't because I didn't think they were good. It was just more because
Dude,
I wasn't
the best stuff.
It truly has become the best. It wasn't because I didn't think they were good. It was just I wasn't related. I didn't relate to the personalities, right?
Yeah.
And I'll never forget the Ronda Rousey versus Betch Correa. I tell this story always because it really resonated with me as to how you can sell a sport. Ronda Rousey versus Betch Correa was the fight. And I heard of Ronda Rousey. I just didn't really know who she was. This is before she really blew up. She was already popular, but she wasn't the way she is now. And the whole time leading up were all these little commercials and bits of them talking shit to each other. And Betch Correa truly wanted to eat Ronda Rousey. And it was like the way she did it too. I didn't like Betch Correa. So I was team Ronda, and I just wanted Ronda to beat the shit out of this girl I think she was Brazilian. And I just wanted her to pummel her because she was such an arrogant shit talker, but either way, I was invested because of the buildup. So when that fight came around, I remember it was the most expensive UFC fight I ever paid for. I paid $100 for that on-demand fight to watch Ronda Rousey knock her out in 16 seconds. So it didn't last long, and I was stoked. I was like, yes, she did it. Good. Screw that girl, And so I was so invested, and it was all about the buildup, It was about the promotion of it, and that's what you have. You have paintball where it's Tyler, who it's now going to be Ronnie Dizon, and the build up to that is going to be a spectacle in its own, and it should be, because those two players, it should be personal. When you step on the field and it's one-on-one, you versus them, you can't point to your teammate. You can't say you got a penalty. You can't say why didn't you move. It's me versus you, and that is so interesting. And your vision and the way you have always the way you have always wanted paintball to have this type of class paired with that sportiness, with like the marketing of HK, I think you have something that could really resonate with the masses. And that's why I was pumped to come and commentate that match, out at Camp Pendleton. Like, of course I wanted to be part of it because I really do believe in the format and what you're doing. And I think it could be more palatable for the people that don't understand 5-on-5 paintball.
Come here really quick.
Oh, who do we got?
We got a guest. We got a lot of guests in here.
Quick shout out.
Hey, there he is, Quitsky. For everybody again, for
we were saying nice things about you.
For people just listening and not watching on the YouTube channel, Quitman just came in to Short's little HK room. No, it's all good. It's all good, Short. So we just said hi to him real quick, paid the man his respects. But yeah,
you said it. You said it perfectly. That's the formula. Is basically the investment, the lead up, and then watching it, and that's entertainment, right? You're excited to watch a new movie coming out. It's that waiting, finally seeing it, and then being able to talk about it. Go Sports is amazing. Like they are literally 1,000 miles ahead of me on this thing. But the problem is, and they know this, is they're at the mercy of the NXL, right? So like I mentioned before, I'm a big fan. I get to watch Dynasty now. But sometimes when you guys are on the East Coast, I have to wake up at 4:30
totally
to catch your game.
Totally, dude. Yeah.
And Kaylin thinks I'm a nut. I'm sitting in the dark, watching, waiting, and you guys are
with your
doing good.
notepad, like, sending us stats.
Yeah, I'm like, you guys are playing. I'm excited, but I'm just like, woo, like that's all it's missing. It's just like it's missing that event-like atmosphere.
And I want to add one thing, Short. I think that the dream that you have, which I think is so amazing, from what I'm picking up, the dream that you have is that anybody in the world can put this field together, and one person from Botswana can become the best paintball player in the world if they want to by setting up. And what you've also done, Short, that has never been done before, is you've given paintball a court. Paintball has never had a field, like a regulation field, like a basketball court or a football field or something like that. And you've also provided that. And I think it's really spectacular that you've done that, because you've given so much opportunity to everybody in the world. If you want to come and take this belt off my hip, you can come get it if you want it. You got to work hard and you got to earn it, but it's all up for your taking if you want it.
That's the idea. Put Botswana on the map.
Let's go, Botswana.
Dude, you know what? That's a good point too. And again, dude, so I look at like snowboarding, motocross, things like that. There are so many different styles, but
totally.
At the end of the day, people love riding a dirt bike or people love riding a snowboard. Now, some people like to race down the mountain. Some people want to do tricks. Some people do style, right? Like there's different types of professional athletes in all of those. And I think paintball can absolutely excel in the same way. We like shooting guns. Now, some people like being in the woods, playing 50 on 50 with missions. Some people like 5 on 5. Some people might like certain different one-on-ones. But this is an outlet that is something that we can easily record and film and make it palatable for the average person. I like what Tyler said about you putting a court. Is the field always going to stay the same with Pro Tour? Is that the goal?
That's my goal. I actually want to add 4 little bricks to kind of like where you start.
Yes, yes.
I want it to be harder to get shot off the break.
Okay, cool.
Or aced. That's like my new terminology, aced.
And we talked about that, Brandon, after we did my last Pro Tour about putting those bricks. And I think it's a great idea.
Yeah, I don't want people to get shot off the break. I want them to have an opportunity to dip down. And what that'll do is if you have to dive into that little brick, now the guy has a good opportunity to move and kind of take some ground and make it more interesting. So, but I want
you put yourself at a disadvantage.
Exactly, but you get to live. You get to fight.
Yeah.
Oh, I like it, dude. I like that idea a lot of having it the same always, because you're right. Like basketball, I can go to the gym and shoot my shots from where I want to shoot from, and I could practice the exact moves. That's why I love layout releases. I hate this whole idea. I mean, Tom Cole just got on. We're not going to have a layout release for the first like regional event, and that really stinks, because you just show up like, I could go and do snap shooting drills, but it's
Good
different
luck.
when there's a layout. I like to obsess on the layout so that I can go from Dorito 1 to Dorito 2 or Snake 1 to 2 and make my shots. I can get that muscle memory. Just like in basketball, you can practice the exact moves that you're going to perform in the big moment. And, it's like Kevin Durant in the finals a couple years ago against LeBron James and the Cavs when he hit that huge 3, which was a momentum shifting game. In the interview afterwards, he goes, that wasn't that big of a deal. I've done that shot 1,000 times, like your format allows that, and to have a court. And so I get what you're saying. Like you're changing it a little bit, but ultimately the goal is to find something that will be the preferred court, so it's all, I love that. I think that's awesome. Yeah. But I also,
for me, I think it's all about simplicity.
Totally.
Just keep it simple. It's easier. Like it just simplicity with paintball, because it's already complex sport.
Yes.
Is the goal, because it's easier to ref, easier to play, easier to watch. Grandma can come to the field and you're like, Grandma, I'm wearing red. And then she knows that that's you.
Yeah. Totally. Have you thought about Short? Because I would love if you did this, dude. Have you thought about offering 2-on-2 as well? So like in tennis, where you have 1-on-1 and you do 2-on-2, like I think the teammate aspect of it is so cool, and offering something where it's like 2-on-1 and someone overcomes a 1-on-2, dude, that's a story. That's like 2-on-2s would be a good addition to Pro Tour.
I think it makes a lot of sense. I think just like tennis, because tennis is what I base this off of.
Sure. Absolutely.
So it just makes total sense that you could expand it to 2-on-2.
Mm-hmm.
I've just been so like tunnel vision on the 1-on-1, getting that right. But yeah, it's a fun idea. Like paintball is fun.
Dude, let's do it. I'm gonna claim Tyler Harmon as my partner.
Let's go, Marsh.
We will play the game against anyone you want.
Yeah, baby.
In Street Fighter, there's like the characters that just you can't choose them because they cheat.
Yeah, yeah.
That's Tyler. Like you can't choose Tyler.
Yeah. I think I just did on national on the open broadcast.
I love it. Yeah, Shorty, I think that would be so cool because like. Say, one person gets eliminated, it's 2-on-1. Imagine the boost for your team and the boost for you when you pull that 2-on-1 off and you're just catch on fire. You know what I mean? And it's time to go. Yeah.
It's fun. Yeah.
And it's one thing that I don't ever want to disappear too. And this is why I asked it earlier, Short. And this is why I'm so adamant on there should be different formats of paintball. I don't ever want to see team paintball 5-on-5 especially disappear. If it goes to 7-on-7, okay, maybe even 3-on-3, but anything less than that, like the moves that get made in a paintball match, and it's something that you specialized in, Short, like that was literally your specialty, is dissecting a situation, seeing where the guns are pointed, understanding the clock, the score, the time, the scenario, and making a precision move. That's why your nickname on Dynasty was the Surgeon. Literally, you would go through and make these insane moves where you get 2 or 3 people off the field. And that, to me, is the essence of paintball. To me, that is the most beautiful part of the game, the teamwork, camaraderie, and making those moves. But it isn't the most filmable and showable.
That's right.
And I understand that.
That's right.
But
what's unique to paintball that almost no other sport has? Especially for the lower divisions, is it's not organized. Like it's not soccer. Like you don't sign up for soccer and then you're on a team. Like you have to navigate and figure out, how do I get on a team? How do we fund the team? Like, what I'm saying? There's so many obstacles. Like what other sport has that?
None. And actually I talk with my wife about this a lot, how I actually plan someday to start like an MYSA, a youth paintball league in my area. And I hope that someday that will become a norm where we will have youth paintball leagues, just like you do for soccer, just like you do for any other sport in our communities, that we can build paintball off of it. That's a dream of mine.
Play the game paintball, right, Ty?
Yeah, baby. Let's go.
Yeah, let's go.
Absolutely.
I love that, Ty. Yeah, 100%. And you are right.
That's a dream of mine. I will bring that to fruition at some point in my life. I will build youth paintball leagues in communities, and I hope that people will join me in that.
I'll join. That's been a dream of mine as well. I love working with the kids at the game and just seeing what it gave to each of us. Like, I want kids to be able to experience that.
And I just want to touch on this. Like, the future of paintball right now, you might not realize it. It's on us. It's up to us to mold this thing and present it to the next generation of how we see fit. And there's really no other better people than us, because we grew up playing this thing. Like we went back 20 years now. Like there's certain people who are in charge right now that why are you in charge? Like, what have you done? And really, like, you need to take responsibility. And you guys are, with the podcast, clinics, BKI, you name it. We need more of that, because ultimately we'll get to where we want to be. We'll get paintball growing.
Beautiful.
I agree, dude. I agree, Shorty. And that's why we love too what you're doing with the league. Again, it's been a couple years in the making, and I think you've got a full head of steam now too. The match between Ronnie and Ryan was epic. That was a lot of fun to commentate. It was hard for me to keep my mouth shut for so long. So I'm glad we can talk about it now. But I can't wait to see Tyler play in that.
Yeah, baby. I'm stoked, man. I've been training hard. I'm ready to go.
You're gonna have to. Yeah, we'll have to spar a little bit, Ty. I'll make sure you're ready to go, because I'm the real 1-on-1 champ. But
we know. Everybody knows. Yeah, dude. Dude, Shorty, we freaking love you, man. And one last thing I want to ask you about is, what is the status like in LA right now out there with everything that's going on? How's LA holding up?
Dude, it is so weird. So if you've ever been to LA, and pretty much everyone knows this, LA traffic is horrendous.
Mm-hmm.
It's enough to move out of this state. Like, it is so bad. It takes me, typically it takes me 45 minutes to get home.
Mm-hmm.
Currently, it takes me 15 minutes.
Whoa.
So that's the weirdest thing, is getting on the 405, which is just this monster snake of concrete that weaves through Los Angeles.
With
just
a lot of
completely
red lights.
Yeah, just completely ghost town. Like, it's that's the weirdest thing by far. But
you were showing me a video of some activity that you had going on over there.
Oh yeah, so I was telling Tyler, I live in Long Beach, and I rent from Brandon Fort, who's the owner of HK.
Mm-hmm.
I rent from him. And Long Beach is nice, but for whatever reason, I live in this pocket that is just infested with homeless people. Like, yesterday, I was walking the dog, and a completely naked man was walking down the sidewalk. That was weird. This morning, instead of waking up to like birds or something nice, I woke up to this crazy lady screaming in the alleyway. And like, it's just, it's a lot. Like, I love California. I love the beach, but you pay a price.
Man.
And my heart goes out to those people. I hope that they're doing okay. But it's pandemonium right now a little bit, you know. And
one of our neighborhood homeless people just got arrested yesterday, and it actually sunk my heart. I live right next to this little shopping center. Ty, you've been to my house. There's that 7-Eleven right next door, and this guy is always out there. And you know, I've talked to him quite a bit. He's a nice guy. He's just homeless, mentally ill, and you know, like I don't enjoy that he's there. You know, and I'm sure a lot of people don't, because it's messy, but at the same time,
he's a human being.
For him. Yeah, he's a human being. And there's like 3 cop cars as I was driving home yesterday, and they had him, he's like bow-legged, definitely mentally ill, and they had him all handcuffed and pushed up against a thing with all of his belongings right there. And my heart just sank, man. I was like, damn, you know, it's
if you can, you know,
duty.
Just do whatever we can do to help.
I would always get a Tiger Milk when I'd go into 7-Eleven, you know, get him a Tiger Milk, walk out, give him a little candy bar.
I don't believe it's a choice. It's a mental health issue that's really rampant in our country, and it's such a deep issue. I wish I had the answers, but
we could have a whole show on that for sure.
Yeah, it's an unsolvable thing. It's very unfortunate, and
all we can do is, you know, if you got a bottle of water or something to help, you know, help them out, give them a smile. That's all we can really do, and good energy.
Totally. But Shorty, let's you know, we've been on this for a long one. This has been great. I knew it would be. I mean,
man.
Yeah, we could talk for hours.
Such a great show.
Again, I just want to highlight Pro Tour and kind of finish off with, you know, your thoughts on Pro Tour and the future of it, like what you thought of this first episode, or well, this was the second one actually that was released, and improvements that are going to be made, all that kind of stuff. And this is all super important. I know we've talked behind the scenes about this, so if there's stuff you want to share with the public.
Totally. I mean, my ultimate goal is to start streaming these events. I want them to be live. Nice. There's obviously issues with editing, post-production, trying to keep it a secret about who wins.
Totally.
And it just really kind of ruins the promotional factor.
But paintball's so good post-production, because you can go back and find all those good shots.
Oh,
you can
100%.
And that's why Pro Tour, that was always your vision, is like making sure you capture those moments of like the great snapshot or like a good, you know, that kind of stuff.
Exactly. But it's hard. So my ultimate goal is this. You have a event, right? Let's just say it's Tyler versus Marcelo, and we lead up to it. And what I do is I offer you two a percentage of our viewership, right? So down the road, when we're dialed in, we ask the audience, hey, pay $5, okay? Well, what I want to do is give the winner...
Like a pay-per-view kind of thing, right?
Pay-per-view. Yeah, I want to give the winner a certain percentage, and also the loser gets a certain percentage, right? So everybody walks away making money. So not only have I now made it more professional, where you guys are both profiting, but you guys are both motivated to advertise, to market as strong as you can. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because you're like, hey, there's money at line here. I need to really put my best foot forward.
I love that.
Versus kind of what I'm doing now, like someone loses and they're like, I don't really want to promote.
Yeah, but dude, you know what that also does, Short, that is so amazing, and also what like paintball is missing. Imagine if that viewership gets up, and let's just be clear. We talked about this on the Go Sports one. I pay for 2 accounts for Go Sports. I'll pay for any pay-per-view paintball event that comes out. Like I'm a fan of the game more than anything. You know, I truly am. And so any paintball content, I'm stoked on. So imagine if it did get to a point to where a lot of people are watching, they're paying for this pay-per-view event, and players can actually win. Like one player can actually win 10, 15, 20 grand off of a championship. That makes it attainable. That makes like, hey mom, you know, I'm 15, but hey mom, I want to practice this weekend because I'm trying to get on Pro Tour and I'm trying to go and compete for 20 grand. You know,
I think that's one thing I didn't touch upon.
Totally.
Is as a professional player, I was also like, how can this be where a professional player can make money and really kind of make this a career, like a solid career? And it always brought me back to the individual, right? Mm-hmm. Dynasty has a nice sponsorship from HK, but that's for the team. Right? Imagine if that sponsorship was solely for you.
Oh, right. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Imagine if you actually won the jackpot only for you.
Yeah.
Wow.
Like, not everyone's going to make a lot of money, but the very top, the guys who work the hardest are going to get paid out as they deserve.
Yeah.
So
absolutely.
I think that's a big step for professional paintball, because we always talk about this. Nobody watched poker until some random guy won $1 million, you know, and they were like, whoa, this is sick. And now everyone watches poker and everyone plays poker. Poker's at an all-time high. And
I would love to give away $10,000, and imagine how stoked you would be if you won $10,000.
If I won 10 grand, I guarantee you I would enter all of them. I'd be training. I'd be wanting to advertise. And for people that aren't already pro, again, that's like the one thing. It's like, oh yeah, I'm competing for a $10,000 check. Just me. You know, right now, the way it is in the league, the NXL, as a team, you can win 12 grand. You split that up amongst, you know, all the guys on the team, the coaches, everything like that. You're lucky if you make $1,000, you know, and like that's not worth all the time that it takes to go in. And we don't do it for that. Professional athletes don't do it for the prize money. And that's the bottom line. But I
agree with that, but I also agree with people should get paid out at the top. This is a real sport. People watch, people love it. And that's what's going to kind of elevate the sport to the next level.
I think that's a fantastic idea, Short. That's gold, man. Absolutely.
That is what will elevate the sport to the next level, is when that money gets generated. And, you know, if you think about it logistically, the way you break it down, if it does come through pay-per-view and you're offering a percentage, that's a great way to do it, because I do think enough people would pay for something like that. Again, absolutely. I know I would pay $25 easily to watch a one-on-one match, you know, 100%. I think that is more than fair for the time, the effort, the players, and for the betterment of the sport. So if these players can now have like a real prize that they're playing for, that legitimizes what we do.
Absolutely. Exactly. And you're gonna get 5 of your buddies over, and it's gonna be $5. You know, you're not gonna watch it alone. You're gonna watch it with the crew. That's what you do with pay-per-view. You get everyone together.
And that's ultimately too what I want to do. Like, I always want to air these when the time comes, when it's a live stream at night. And there's a lot of learning to do with that, but that's how it has to be. You have to figure out how to do this at nighttime.
Yeah. Well, let's keep chasing this dream, baby. You know what I mean? And let's build it. That's what it's all about. Absolutely. I love that, Short.
Totally, man. And Shorty, like, you're definitely the originator in these ideas. Those are great ideas, man. I love it. Yeah. I'm actually just happy to see that.
The Godfather. You're the Godfather, baby.
There's a lot of people in the sport right now that are pushing different avenues of paintball. And that's good for everyone, man. If one thing catches, it's better for the whole. And it's so funny because 4 or 5 years ago, I was so single-minded. I was like very short-sighted, and this is the only way. 5-on-5 X-ball style, like, you know, that's it. Now I want as many different ways to play as possible. I love going to play scenario games now. Put me in the woods, let me be a general, and we have to like take down this hut and like go on these different missions. But I also want to play tournament style. I also want to do one-on-one free for the public, one-on-one pay-per-view, you name it. There's so much, and there's so many people. That's why I don't think there's been a better time in our sport as far as having people that are really trying to do the most to get it noticed by the general public. And And Short, I absolutely love what you're doing with Pro Tour. It's clean, it's classy, it's the business, and I had a blast commentating it. I can't wait to be part of the next one. I would love to come and play one of these, if that's not a conflict of interest, since I've commentated already. But I absolutely want to be, getting the action. You mean what? Yeah, what do you got, Ty?
I was just going to say, don't get me started with you, buddy. I just wanted to say this is the absolute funnest paintball I've ever played. The thrill of playing on this type of a style of field where it's all perfectly mirrored in tight quarters, which you are the godfather of, the originator, and you've really created something very special. And it's just a phenomenal thrill to play. It's amazing to do. And thank you for that, Shorty.
It's good.
Thank you guys, man.
Short, where can people follow, keep up, give us all of the stuff on all the social media?
Yeah.
Where can people see this?
Okay, so for me, it's all about Instagram. You can follow me personally at bshort.
You're going to see a lot of Bruno on that, though. Like, I think
that I kind of stay away from. But
Bruno's the star.
I've been really active. I've been trying to be better at Pro Tour Paintball. That's where it's all going down. All the info you can find there. You got to stay tuned to the HKARMY Instagram and YouTube and all their other channels, Facebook, TikTok, you name it. It's
Absolutely.
all there.
Awesome.
So for the Pro Tour with Ronnie and Ryan, where can everyone view that at, just so that everybody knows?
Just in case you haven't seen it, it's going to be on the HKARMY YouTube. It'll probably be the first. You could always type in their names right into YouTube, and boom, you're watching it.
Hey, guys, and please share that video as well.
Yes.
Like, the best thing you could do is share that on your Facebook, get more views, get more people to watch it. Again, that's the message. Let's spread paintball. Everyone's going through a really tough time right now. We have a ton of free content right now with a lot of different stuff going on. So put it out there, make the most of it, really gain traction. I think it's such a perfect time for it. And so also, Short, thank you for getting this out right now at a time where everybody's so hungry for sports, man. God, I want sports.
Yeah.
I know you and I like basketball, man. The Lakers were going to win the championship, and now we're just sitting here waiting.
We should be watching the playoffs right now.
I know. But we got Pro Tour, which is amazing. I'm stoked on that. So everybody, please tune in. Also, guys, you can now check Rusty Glaze at Constant Pursuit. Just got our website done, ptgpodcast.com. You guys could head over there, check out some of our merch. If you guys want to become supporters, we would absolutely appreciate it. Tyler and I are going to do our best to keep bringing you guys tons of amazing content. Shorty,
absolutely,
you're the best, dude. We love you.
Yeah, boys. Love you guys.
Can't wait to see you in practice.
Thank you so much for coming on, Short. And everybody, like we said, support Boost Short, one of the greatest players of all time. Please go and share and watch the Pro Tour. And we love you, Shorty.
Love you guys.
Alrighty, guys.
All right. Peace, brother. Woo!